will say categorically that the governor of Benue State has done nothing, and he's still watching the situation, and nothing tangible has been done. Talking about a governor of a state is referred to as the chief security officer of that state.
Right.
A governor of a state has the veto power. The governor of a state is being saddled with the responsibility of ensuring the protection of rights and properties of the state.
You're right.
Now, in the case of Benue State, like you mentioned, Governor, permit me to mention his name, Father Haisi Talia, has done nothing. I mean, how much is worth 200 people were massacred
More than.
as a governor? You understand that?
I understand.
And being the chief security officer of the state, before your hands are looking at people being, and you are telling me that he actually mentioned that there are people in Abuja who are actually motivating the killings in Benue State. Now you have mentioned and pointed out that there are people in Abuja, at the central, head of affairs, who are motivating the killings. Why don't you take action? It is society.
It could be that maybe he may have taken action, but we don't see that.
Nothing has been done. Nothing has been done.
Okay.
Father Haisi Talia did nothing to the happiness of Benue.
Hello and welcome to Mike and Matters. Here we unpack real gist and bring them to your doorstep. I am your host, Delight, and I have someone with me today, a political activist as well as a political enthusiast. Please, sir, can you introduce yourself and let us know who you are before we unpack what we have for today?
Thank you very much, Delight, for having me. My name is Ekele Emmanuel. Now I'm a political activist as well as an enthusiast, as she said.
Okay, thank you so much. So since we have a political enthusiast in the house, this brings me to what we have for today. And that is, we are looking at the political system of our country, and it's a really great pleasure, to have Sir Ekele Emmanuel here with us. Are you ready for today?
I am.
Okay.
Very well.
Please, Nigerians are worried, Nigerians are asking questions, Nigerians are curious, want to really know what is wrong with our political system, or want to know exactly what it is to know about the political system. Let me ask this first question. Okay, we often hear that the system is rigged, that the political system of Nigeria is rigged. In your view, all right, what do you think is broken in Nigeria's political system?
All right, thank you very much. I want to start by saying that the aim of every governmental setting is to ensure that lives are protected.
Yeah.
To ensure that the masses get the dividends of the government of the day.
Very true.
That was why in the early days before government came to be, before the modern day government, it was an anarchical state.
Yeah, anarchy,
Yes, it was a state in which the people had no law.
Very true.
There was no law.
Very true.
So therefore killings could take place. One-time killings takes place. People could take whatever you have.
Yeah.
Or people live at the expense of another person's life.
Very true.
So it was so before the modern day came to be, and government came to be as a result of a contract entered into, according to John Locke, one of these political philosophers. Now, a contract was entered, and therefore government now came to be, and that metamorphosed to the system of government which we now operate in, which we have democracy and other totalitarian system of government. Now, going points to the rigged political system. Of course, everyone would believe, or it is obvious, that the Nigerian political system, as well as other political systems in other crimes of the world, are rigged. Because a political system that can't, provide for the welfare of the masses and can't perform its functions of maintaining law and order, as well as protecting lives and valuables and properties, of course, such political system is rigged. And it is rigged because of the selfishness of our leaders. Our leaders are so selfish, and they are living at the detriment of our lives. When we die, they don't feel it. Do you understand that? They are living in affluence while the peasants are living in penury. So these are the things that are going on.
Okay. Thank you so much for bringing justice to that. This brings me to what I have next. That why do you think there is consistent lack of response to violent attacks? Like, for example, now those in Benue State, the recent happenings that we heard in the Luata community of Benue State. So the question is, why do you think there is a consistent lack of response to violent attacks? Or is there more to it?
There is more to it. Because you see, government can, like I said earlier, the major aim for the establishment of any government, whether it is a totalitarian government, it is an authoritarian government, just like we had in 29 years under military siege from the year 1996 to 1999, ended 1999, and whether it is a fascist government, and whether it is a Marxist government or a democratic government like we have in Nigeria.
You are going to break this down.
I will. Now, be it even though governments tends to be different, be it Nazis like I mentioned and the democratic and all of that, the aim of every government is to ensure the protection of life and properties. If lives and properties are not protected, such a government is regarded as a failure, even though infrastructure prices are being done. So now, if you look at the lack of response, there's more to it because there's no government that will fold its arms and watch people being killed and maimed without he or she supporting it.
Yeah, right. Very true.
You understand that?
Very true.
There's nobody in government. There's nobody who controls the affairs or who is at the helm of government that will fold its arms and watch people, be innocent people who have committed no crime, right, are being infringed with, you know, and then such a person who is at the helm of affairs, be it a governor, a president, or a local government chairman, fold its arms and watch people being killed. So it shows that either such a person is either supporting the killing or is either doing that for his or her own personal interest or something at all is actually
personal. Do you think there is something personal to gain from people dying?
Of course, it is personal because if you look at the political crimes, when a government assumes power, when a government assumes power, either the opposition party may want to sabotage the government of this particular, or the regime of this particular person.
That's true.
And of course, such a person would want to give that kind of bad image through the killings of innocent people. And at the end of the day, to be said that in social person's administration, people 200, 100, 500 persons were killed because he or she was irresponsible and incompetent.
Okay. Now, does that mean that with the recent happening in Benue State, the governor of Benue State didn't really do anything?
I would say categorically that the governor of Benue State had done nothing, and he's still watching the situation and nothing tangible has been done. For crying out loud, a governor of a state is referred to as the chief security officer of that state.
Right.
A governor of a state has the veto power. The governor of a state is being saddled with the responsibility of ensuring the protection of lives and properties of his state.
You're right.
Now, in the case of Benue State, like you mentioned, Governor, permit me to mention his name, Father Hyacinth Alia, has done nothing. I mean, under his watch, 200 people were massacred as a governor. You understand that?
I understand.
And being the chief security officer of the state, you fold your arms and looking at people and you are telling me that he actually mentioned that there are people in Abuja who are actually motivating the killings in Benue. Now you have mentioned and pointed out that there are people in Abuja, at the central, helm of affairs, who are motivating the killings. Why don't you take action? It is suspected.
It could be that maybe he may have taken action, but we don't see that.
Nothing has been done. Nothing has been done. Governor Father Hyacinth Alia did nothing to the happenings in Benue.
Now let's take it from the governor now to the federal government. Do you think the federal government has done anything adequate in response to this same Benue issue?
You see, the reason the federal government cannot take any step is because the governor is still very adamant, sleeping.
But what could be the reason?
Of course, like I said, either the governor is incompetent, of course he's incompetent. He's an incompetent governor because you have the security architectures and permit me to appraise the approval of the forest guards by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu sometime ago on the 18th of May 2025. The aim of that is to combat terrorism, banditry which are happening within our forest. And he has given the power to each governors of the state to recruit forest guards. Recruit them, in other words, to start what is called state policing. Every governor has the right now to establish his or her own, security architecture. in his or her state. And so Governor Father Isaac Alia should take this as a responsibility and establish the forest, recruit people into the forest, give them arms, and give them a marching order. You see, every terrorist is not expected to be spared. You don't spare terrorists. You don't arrest terrorists and incarcerate them. You kill them because they are killers. They don't repent.
I like that.
So these are the steps the government will take. And by so doing, you will see that these whole killings will be mitigated and it will be continued.
Now, with response to, we are looking into 2027 election now, but let's start with this. Okay, over time, like from the last election to this present time, we see that people came out, young adults, youth, they all came out to vote. When it came to protest, they came out to protest and the rest. But currently, we see that they now feel so disillusioned. Do you think that why do you think they no longer believe in protest and voting again? That's on the account of young people. Why do you think they no longer believe? Because most of them have given up and they're just so weak and so tired, and political apathy now has come to play.
Yes. Now, one of the reasons for the apathetic nature of our youth is because of the incompetency of our leaders.
So now, would you really blame the youth for refusing to come out?
I wouldn't blame them. The last time we came out in 2020, precisely on the 14th of October, we were massacred on the street of Lagos. Lekki told me.
Yeah, I remember.
The youth were massacred. They were killed. You know, people were. We protested for a change in government. We went to the street and protested for an end to the brutality of one arm of the police force. And then we also protested against the ills of government, so much hunger in the land at that period. And all what the government could do was to deploy military personnel, and they shot as many youths at Lekki toll gate. Hundreds of persons were massacred. So we wouldn't believe, or we wouldn't want such people of such hate groups, youth like us, to come out again and protest of the ills of government.
So the fact that we also now sit at home and fold our arms. See that
the truth of the matter is, if we can't fold our arms.
Yeah, I get.
As I'm talking to you now, in Togo, in Kenya, there's revolution ongoing.
Definitely.
As at this morning, hundreds of youths trooped on the street of Togo. They want to change of government immediately. The same thing happened in Kenya some weeks ago.
I love
so
that.
Such a thing needs to be done because we need total revolution in Nigeria. But if we keep folding our arms and watch this whole thing happening, the time will come, these whole places will become unbearable for it to stay. Even our various houses, families will become unbearable to live. And you realize that we will now go back to the state of nature where we came from, the modern day government.
My God. This now brings me to this final. I want you to say your view concerning the next election we are having. Just on a general term, what do you have to say about this next election?
Well, if I must advise my fellow youth out there, the next election, vote for competency. Vote for leaders who are competent. Vote for leaders whom you believe are credible. Not for these old people who don't have any atom of integrity in them and who wants to live in affluence at the detriment of our lives. 2027 is here already.
Yeah, I understand. I know it's actually scary seeing that we go out to vote and then our voices are not heard. So does that mean that we should just, I don't know, go ahead and have vote the way we want, even if we see that our voices are not being heard?
At all. We wouldn't vote the way we want to. We would vote for people who are credible. And if we have come to the level whereby we need to monitor electoral processes ourselves.
That's it.
Because we can't, if the counting and the collation of results at every particular polling unit must be monitored. Every one of us must be there, so our vote will count.
Yeah,
all people will read it and manipulate the election.
I love this.
And then they'll just cut away with everything and one declare.
Oh God!
Such as what has been obtainable in previous years,
previous
elections that have brought out this bad and deplorable leaders.
Kind of a segue.
Of course.
I see us having a great 2027 election. I don't know about you, but from what I've heard today, I think I've been gingered. Let me use that word. And for those that don't have permanent voters card, please go and get it. 2027 election is by the corner.
It's here already.
It's here already. Our political activist has done justice to the political system in Nigeria. Do let us know what you think about this particular podcast. Share your thoughts. Follow us, like this video, and share. We'll be excited to share another with you again. Until we come your way, remember I'm your host, Delight, and this is Mr. Ekele Emmanuel. Do have a lovely day. Bye-bye.